Special meeting of North Smithfield Town Council is called to order on September 3rd, 2019 at 6:45. First item is the prayer of the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Present. Here. Next item is open forum pursuant to Public Law 42-46-6D for a maximum of 15 minutes. And I would just remind everybody when they come up to state your name and your address. Try to be as brief as possible to be cognizant of others that may want to speak. Is there anyone that would wish to address the council? Mr. Clifford.
Mike Clifford, 489 Black Plain Road. Is this on? I just have clarification, I guess, first of all. On item number 5, B and C, the tax stabilization agreement and the agreement with Green Energy, I'm assuming that neither of those is being voted on tonight. Is that correct? Because you've put approval for signature, but that was on the previous agendas as well. And there was supposed to be a public hearing. So am I correct in assuming that or not?
It will be a public hearing, Mr. Clifford.
So you won't be voting on either of these tonight? Because if you are, I'd like to address it.
I don't think we will.
Okay. You don't think you will be? You don't think you will be, or you're
That's
not?
what I just said. I do not think I will be, Mr. Clifford.
Okay, so there'll be no vote on it this evening. Thank you. Okay. The other, on item number 6D, again, with this one, I'm assuming that with the wording on this, it's not going to be a first reading of the ordinance. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr.
Review
Clifford.
the draft. Okay, thank you. With regard to the Kendall Dean property and the project, could I ask if the sewer pipe that was under the area where the elevator shaft was going has been moved? Was that moved? And was there any leakage of sewage from that pipe?
Just to be clear, Mr. Clifford, there was no sewer pipe that was moved inside the building. There was a sanitary water line that was moved, an old drain from a bathroom that hadn't been used in 30 years.
Okay, so it wasn't a sewer pipe.
It was not a sewer pipe, it was a sanitary waste line.
Okay, because I originally, way back...
I understand that. There was stories out there that were spread by you specifically that there was a sewer line and there was sewer waste that was being pumped out into the ball field.
In one of the original in one of the sets of plans for Kendall Dean, it showed a sewer pipe in the area where the elevator shaft was going.
No, never did.
Okay, I think I have the plan. If I do, I'll email to you for the next meeting. So maybe they labeled it incorrectly, but it was from the plan. The other thing is, before you enter into any agreement with Green Energy on the solar array and the tax stabilization agreement, I would strongly suggest that somebody from the council contact Exeter to find out where they are in the process. They went through a similar process that we did. There was a change in the council. Things have taken a different direction in some respects, but I think they might be running into issues that you might benefit from knowing before you sign any types of agreements. So I'd encourage you to do that. And my last issue is with regard to parties that are leasing land for the solar array. Will those properties be reassessed by the tax assessor at a commercial value at a higher rate because they're now generating substantial income? It seems ridiculous to me that the owners of the property on the Greenville Road property, it was mentioned several times that they would earn in excess of $30 million in lease payments over 20 years. I don't see how that can be taxed as, farm, forest, and open space property if it's generating that kind of income. And I've also heard, but I haven't verified it myself, but I will in the meantime, it's my understanding that some communities have taken the initiative to do that already. And that's just hearsay, has been mentioned to me. I'm not aware of which communities, but I will research it. But I would hope that we would do the similar thing here. I don't understand why I should pay, X number of dollars on my house when it's certainly never going to generate me $30 million. And another property in town that's generating big revenue sources is going to pay less than a house, or what a house would pay. So we have several of them in town now, and they're generating big bucks. And obviously, their value has increased, so I would hope that we revisit how they're assessed. Since you're not acting on the other items, I'll save my comments for the next meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Hearing none, we move on to the next item on the agenda.
Yes, Mr. President, if you don't mind, I'd like to move up. The Army Corps of Engineers is here this evening. I'd like to move that item on the, where is it?
6A?
6A. Move it up
No,
on
6B. 6B.
6B. Got it. 6B. Discussion by Council Board of Road Action acquisition of permanent and assignable easements per request of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So we get this gentleman back home. So that's motion to move it up.
Motion to waive the rules and move up for immediate discussion, item 6B.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bottomoli. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Kravitz?
Yes, hi. Scott Nicolak is here from the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, it's on.
And Gary and I have been looking at the GIS maps, and basically long and short of what they're doing, and Scott will go into it, but they need easements to maintain the riprap waterway that borders Woonsocket and North Smithfield. And long and short of it is when this project was created, it was put on the cities and towns to deal with maintenance. And it's gone back now over the years to the Army Corps to execute the maintenance of the waterway. And in between that time, there's been some property conveyances, lot creation, and we're getting a handle on which parcels and the ownership for whom we need to communicate. So before I penned a letter to any landowner, I thought I should bring Scott in, and you guys can understand the project better and talk to him. So I'll turn it over to Scott.
Thanks. Fellow council members. In regards to this, back in 1956, you all signed an agreement with the U.S. federal government to provide all lands, easements, rights of way so that we could operate the project. None of us was present then, I'm sure. However, subsequent to that, it also said that you agreed to maintain and operate all the works that we built in accordance with the Corps' requirements. That would have been for North Smithfield, would have been basically the riparian zone adjacent to where the junkyard is right now. A little bit up the channel and then all the way up that bank up to where Blackstone is. In regards to the transfer back, under the Defense Appropriation Bill, 28 January 2008, Public Law 110-181, I believe your senator was kind enough to put it back to the U.S. Army Corps for operation and maintenance. In that bill, it actually says City of Woonsocket. However, you all have part ownership of that, so we took it as the whole project's coming back to us. We'll maintain it and we'll operate it. In going through all the deed searches and I just got onto this a few months ago, but in going through all the deed searches, we've been surveying, we've been doing all that type of stuff to try to acquire the lands and the easements through the cities. I've talked with Tom last month. There is some parcels in North Smithfield that do need to be conveyed to us we need easements to be conveyed to us so that we can get equipment over the parcels so that we can operate and maintain. Basically take the vegetation, spray the riprap, and limit the vegetation growth on those banks. The original project, if you were to look back at your maps, and Tom and I have discussed some of this, there are some parcels that are not identified on your zoning maps. It's because the way the river was originally routed, and then we went in and dredged the river and put materials adjacent to the Singleton Street Bridge, which was relocated and readjusted. There is parcels of land that are technically in North Smithfield, but nobody has ownership of. So that would possibly be a condemnation of that land to the town. The other thing is usually each town owns the center of the waterway. I do not see that on the particular parcels for North Smithfield. It usually goes right to the edge of the river and should go to the center line of the river as well. So those are some of the concerns we have. There has been one parcel conveyed to us for an easement, and that is north of where the canal comes in, the old canal, going up towards Blackstone. And that was conveyed over, the easement was conveyed to US Highway. Other than that, I cannot do any maintenance actions on any other parcels until I have easements.
Mr. Kravitz,
Any other question?
that land that was, the piece of land that was conveyed, that's adjacent to the meadows, correct?
Right, that's parcel number 183, and looking at it again more recently, it appears to be the two parcels on the town's GIS system, both north and south of that tail race that you see that splits it. Which that would leave really only two other property owners to approach, one of whom is National Grid. There's a map that you should have, but it looks kind of like this. It's got the green and the red lines. That's the one that, the green are the easement areas that the Army Corps needs, and you can see they're overlaid over the top of the red lines, which are the parcels. So that area, it's labeled, they're called tract areas, 210, 1 and 2E. Both of those areas really lie over the top of parcel 183, which the town actually conveyed that by easement in 2015, Paul Evans on Hamilton. Right, that's it there.
Right now, currently the town has those easements.
The town has allocated those easements for the two properties that are there. It's effectively, if you look at the drawing there, to the left of the tail race that comes in, the center of the screen at the bottom, where the meadows is, there's a big parcel there. And to the right of it, we can see the salvage yard is located. That's actually shown on the GIS map as parcel 183 as well. So someone at some point should probably get a surveyor to kind of analyze the accuracy of the parcels, to make sure that the title's there, the description's there. And that really leaves it, as you head south or to the right, toward Singleton Street Bridge, there's really just 3 parcels remaining to obtain easements from. One of which is National Grid. I believe that's the large parcel to the south, to the west or down on the drawing, on the bottom. It's the kind of thing I think if I pen a simple letter to the property owners describing why the easements are needed, maybe they'll just grant them without question. Maybe. I mean, all it is to maintain riprap for 25 feet, but if they don't, and it gets more complicated, we'll just have to see how we end up obtaining the easement.
Sorry, question? So, Scott,
Yes, sir.
basically, we're looking at, they're not identified on our plat maps because the course of the river has been changed, relocated. So they're identified as 2004E, 2101E, and 2007E. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and they're owned by Bradley Real Estate?
If that's what you all say, I do not know who.
I gotta confirm.
Some of them have changed. At one point in time, North Smithfield actually held it in tax title. So I don't know who owns what at the present. I'm not the real estate, I'm a senior
All right, so
program.
I'll address the next question. Tom, maybe you know that back in September 2015, looks like the town, it was identified as tract 2102E, and that was also an easement granted to the United States of America, and it was signed by then Administrator Hamilton. I think I remember those proceedings.
That's this one.
That's the one up by the Meadows.
That's this one.
My point is at least on the GIS, Lot 183 also exists under, what is it?
2101.
2101E as well, so it may be a matter of just simply adding that area to that easement. Then it leaves some just to the south, like I said, there's several others.
That's great, that might be the town, yeah, but that might be the town boundary too. I don't know exactly where that is. This whole area is kind of funky.
Yeah, so in essence, Tom, through your office, you're going to ask Bradley Real Estate if they'll be amenable to an easement?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not a big, I wouldn't even rely on the GIS before I pen a letter. I mean, usually you'd want to go to the Grantor Grantee Index and land evidence, make sure you have the most current, accurate owner, and then I'll send a letter out.
And you can see on the drawing, like I was talking about on the 2007E, your red line, which is your parcel maps, drops down below that parcel of land adjacent to Singleton Street Bridge. That land is actually technically, because Woonsocket only owns the center line of river. So you all actually technically own, I don't have that sliver, that sliver of the curvature, I don't have a pointer on me, but that curvature point. Here. Easier, I'll get up there and point.
The sliver I'm talking about is
This sliver here is basically a no man's land sliver based upon your zoning map. However, we rerouted the river. If you look at the original design drawings, the river used to come, Singleton Street Bridge was more this way. Bridge was reallocated and the river was dredged and widened. We took the materials from that and actually created this area. So lands were never transferred back in 1960s or 70s onto the real estate arm. So that's the one that might have to get the parcel might be complicated. I don't know how you go about that. Not going there. Just bring it up.
Tom, I have a little concern, me, I'm 1 of 5, but I have a concern about doing any survey work over there.
Oh, exactly, right. That, do the letter first, that only costs, what, 50 cents?
Yeah,
Yep,
sure.
Absolutely.
Mr. President, get ready, I could make a motion.
Well, I was gonna ask Mr. Kravitz, what exactly is they looking for from us?
Just bringing it to your attention that I'm sending a letter out like this, that you really don't even need an action. It's, you know what I'm doing now, and it's, you might get a phone call from a property owner, or we'll see.
But it takes no action necessary by the council to seek that easement.
I think ultimately, if I might, Mr. President, there's likely to be a need for some surveying that ultimately will become a funding issue. And perhaps some legal work that, who knows where it goes. But I agree with Tom. Take the first step, send out the letters. We may find nothing but cooperation, but people see it as a positive. Have no idea what other potential.
And because the land is in North Smithfield, we have to seek the easement.
Right.
For the Corps of Engineers, and then we convey it to them.
Right. As I understand the agreements, it was our obligation as a town back in 1950-something. Claire was here.
1956.
Definitely.
Along with me.
Area well planned.
Along with me. We need to own up to that obligation and hope that it can go smoothly.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? So Tom, you're gonna send a letter to the property owners in question, maybe more than one?
Yep.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.